week's Coach's Corner, and I'm pleased to be joined by first-year head coach Cliff Carroll. And Coach, first year on board, you have 4, I believe, coming back from last year's roster, but you have a bunch of transfers and probably the most upperclassmen we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I focused in a little bit on recruiting transfers. We actually had 6 returning. We got 5 upperclassmen and a sophomore, Nick Garcia, sophomore. Then I brought in a bunch of junior college kids and some Division II transfers. It's just nice to have some experience on the team and have some guys that have been through some wars, and they kind of get it. They come in, for the most part, they've all been good students in the past, and I think our team GPA is going to show with that. And so it's nice having the older guys. They're accustomed to working hard. They're accustomed to being pushed, and you don't have to deal with much of the freshman stuff that a group of freshmen brings sometimes.
Well, looking at our veterans, Mike Huffman, Rocky Feliciano, and Damian Rodriguez, all 3 of those guys were selected for this year's preseason to watch list by the conference. What do you look for those guys to bring to the court this year individually, and how will they help with developing the chemistry on the team?
Well, start with Rocky. He was an all-conference selection last year as a junior. He's a very talented shooter. We just need him to he's like a thoroughbred. He wants to run and get out, and he's just anxious to do anything. And I've really had to pull the reins back on him a little bit, and learn how what's a good shot, what's not a good shot. How can we protect the ball a little better, limit turnovers, things like that. But man, he can really shoot the ball. So we're going to put him in a position to get some shots, and there'll be games where we're just going to ride him. I mean, he's going to get hot, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it, and we're going to ride him. So we're really looking for Rocky to come in with some explosiveness there. And Mike's a very high IQ basketball player. He's a son of basketball coaches, and it shows. He communicates well. He smart kid, plays hard, is in the right place. Sometimes I think he's a little too pretty for his own good, but we work on that with him. We work on that with him, and Mike's going to be a big part of what we do. He's a good leader. He's going to be a senior. He really cares about the season. Damian, the other preseason guy by the conference, he's a big kid, and he's healthy. His ankles are healthy. He's in shape. He's moving well. He's a good player. He can play all over the court. He's not just a post-up guy. He can catch it and shoot it out the 3. And I really look for him to be a big part of what we're doing. The other senior, I think, got slighted a little bit by the conference. Maybe Alex Harrison. He's really, really talented. Long. He's dealt with some foot issues last year and early this year. I think he's healthy though. He's looked good in practice the last couple of days. I think he'll be good to go against St. Thomas. Then the other returning upperclassman, Stefan Holland, has been he's really come along. He didn't know really what to expect with me as a coach, and I really didn't know what to expect of him as a player. We've had some feeling out, but the kid's ultra talented. He can win us a lot of ball games. For the sit in the stands and use his talents and use his powers for good, I guess they say in the superhero world. But he's a good player. I inherited a good group of kids. They're good kids, and they all want to win. I haven't had one of them buck anything I've asked them to do. And sometimes when you inherit kids like that, and you didn't quote unquote recruit them, and they're not quote unquote your guys, and sometimes there's trust issues, and these guys have all bought in and done exactly what I've needed them to up to this point. And I think we'll win a lot of ball games with these guys.
We have, I believe, 4 players over 6'5". That really has to be a bonus considering the lack of height, which has been a liability for us in the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, at the small college level, I think height is probably one of the most overrated things. You've got schools, at our level, at the D3 level or the small NAIA level, and they'll bring in a 7-foot kid, and there's a lot of hype around the kid, and the kid can't walk up the stairs and chew bubble gum. He'll fall down and kill himself. So those guys really don't do you a lot of good. If you're going to have height, it's got to be practical. You have to be able to play and move, and especially in the motion offense in our system. These guys are stepping out, catching the ball. I don't mind them shooting the ball if they're open, but they got to catch and pass and be able to handle it. So, all of our big guys have done good. I mentioned Damian. We got a kid that named Kendall Stewart that probably should be playing left tackle in the NFL right now. That kid's enormous. He's, probably 6'7", and I'm not even going to guess on his weight. I'll make him mad, but it's somewhere close to 3 bills, and he's enormous. He's a load down in the paint, and he's going to be tough to guard. We also have a kid named Caleb Thomason from a small town just outside of Big Spring, Texas, which is a small town, so you can tell you how big Ackerley, Texas really is. But he's as skilled of a big guy as I've ever been around. He hadn't played basketball in 2 years. He's had a family issue, and I'm sure that we'll talk more about that down the line. I'll let him describe what happened, but basically he needed to stay home and take care of his family for 2 years. So this is the first time he's been back out on the court, and he's had some ups and downs, but I look for him to be an immediate impact guy for us.
Finally, Coach, first three games on the road to start the season as we open up a play in Houston against St. Thomas. What will be some keys to opening the season with a victory?
St. Thomas they have a new coach as well. He's a young guy. He was the assistant there at St. Thomas. So I don't expect, a whole lot different. They're going to spread the floor. They're going to put 5 guys out there going to shoot. We're going to have to really sit down in a stance and close out well with their shooters and keep them in front of us. Really, you look at the beginning of conference, we're starting with 2 NAI schools in a Division II in Lubbock Christian. The key to those, you want to win. Okay, you don't ever want to go into the game thinking that you don't want to win, but our key basically is to be ready for December 3rd when we play Laterno. That's our first conference game. That's what we got to do. That's where we got to start. We got to start with conference. We've got to we've got to climb in the standings. We got to finish in the top half of the league, and so we're going to use these games, St. Thomas, Wayland, LCU, as a measuring stick to see where we are compared to other guys in our league. These are scholarship teams that have really talented kids, and I think we have a chance to win all 3 games personally. But it's more than just winning. We got to set ourselves up for a conference. So a lot of this is going to be, we got to figure out a rotation. Basically we're going to roll into the first game with, I think, 12 guys that all deserve playing time, which is not very common. So we got to figure out a rotation. And we just got to continue to build our cohesiveness and build our toughness. That's our 2 challenges right now, I think, is, you have a weird dynamic where you have basically half the team's a returner and half the team is new, and you got a new coach. And so, sometimes to get those guys to cross over, it takes a while. And so we got to build some cohesion and then just toughness, and that's with every team. I think you could always be tougher. There's never a player that's tough enough, but we got to continue to build those 2 things. And then we just got to establish our culture of success. That goes from games to off the court to community service to everything we do. We want to be successful. We want to build that culture to where we want our program to be something that the Big Bend and Alpine and Sul Ross is proud to say, hey, that's my basketball team right there. And so that's where we just got to continue. And it goes further than St. Thomas and Wayland and LCU. It goes further than that. It's the close to 200 hours of community service that we've put in so far this fall. It's the team GPA that at our last class check was right at a 3.0, and we're hoping to finish up above that. So that all goes into the culture of success. I think if you take care of some of those things off the court, that it'll translate on the court, and also we'll start beating some of these teams that on paper we should be beating. We should be beating these scholarship NAI schools, Division II schools, but we're right there. We're good enough. We're good enough players. We just got to get out there and compete with them.
All right, don't forget, folks, that the Lobos open up the season this Sunday, 4 o'clock tip-off against the University of St. Thomas from Houston. And don't forget to like us on our Facebook page, our brand new Facebook page at SR Sports. And also check out our Twitter account, also at SR Sports. And for everything related to Sul Ross State University Athletics, visit the official website of Lobos Sports at www.srlobos.com.